Capital Radio. First with news, first with information, and first with music.
And right, Capital Radio 104.9, 102.3, 103.3, 14th day of July. Welcome to the second hour of the Drive Time Show here with me, Eric Kawa. And as I told you earlier on, we're having a special interview this hour. We'll be talking to some people from UNIDO. Well, very important people in that sector. They'll be telling us about a very, very important project that has to do with It's a promotion on climate adaptation technology and business model innovations and entrepreneurship. We will get to know more about this project. But I can't give you all the details. To help me do that, I have with me a man who happens to be the Chief Climate Tech and Innovations Division's Department of Energy for UNIDO, which is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Alois Mhlanga. Not sure if I called it right, but hello, welcome to Capital Radio, sir.
Thank you, and yes, indeed, you got it right.
Is it right? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
Also, we have with us another individual who is with us here in the studio. She happens to be the country rep for UNIDO as well. That is Madam Mariatu Swarray. Welcome to Capital Radio.
Thank you for having us.
It really is a great pleasure. And today we're talking about the promotion of climate adaptation technology and the business model innovations and entrepreneurship. So we usually say ladies first because we are looking at gender empowerment and the rest of it. So we start with you being the country rep for UNIDO in Sierra Leone. This is a huge project. When I heard it and I actually just saw the whole heading itself, it actually sends out a good message because the way we're going right now with the climate change and the rest of it, we need some solutions. So tell us more about this project.
Well, the project is in line with the government of Sierra Leone National Adaptation Plan. And for UNIDO, we are a specialized UN agency, and we want small and medium enterprises to see climate change as an avenue, an opportunity to make more money. So basically, this project will look at how we can support SMEs for them to be able to address the issues of climate change adaptation within the vulnerable communities. Some of them, they have the ideas, but then they don't have how to put it down on paper, and some of them, they have the technology, but how best can they scale up? So basically, that's what the project is about, to see how we can transfer and innovate new technologies to adapt to climate change.
All right. Thank you so much for giving us those details and trying to adapt and using new technologies. So I'll come to you, being the Chief Innovation and Tech Chief Climate Tech and Innovations Division's Chief. You've been working with this for quite a long time. And then Swarray told us about adapting it here in Sierra Leone. So what should be learned from other countries that you've worked with in the past that could be implemented in Sierra Leone for an easy access?
Thank you, and quite excited to be here. As you are aware, the issue of climate change is with us. Even if we are to stop all the greenhouse gas emissions today, the climate is changing. And at a global level, we are already seeing the impacts of climate change from droughts, in the US, floods in different parts of the world, including Australia, floods in developed countries, and including Germany, and even in the center of Europe. But what is critical to note is that developing countries are particularly vulnerable because we rely on natural resources, natural systems, natural rain, and the like. So this project tries to unlock the creativity and ingenuity of SMEs and enterprises to be able to be solution providers on climate change. Because whether we like it or not, climate change is happening.
Sure.
It is affecting our lives, it is affecting our industries and our economic systems. So there's no better way to respond to climate change than working with SMEs, but seeing climate change, or the need to respond to climate change, as an economic opportunity where we are able to support existing industries, existing agro businesses to be able to be resilient to climate change, because if we are not able to respond to climate change, some of our gains towards industrial development will be lost. So we need to collectively work around how do we respond to climate change. So at the global level, climate is changing, and it is imperative that we respond, and we respond by looking at this as an economic opportunity where we are able to create green economies and create local jobs.
All right, so very important that you've mentioned. I'll come again to Mariatu, the issue about using means of, trying to get money or income out of this. I was doing a story recently for Africa Renewal, having some issues with it, on the oceans, big plastic pushback at sea, which has to do with the fact that the sea has been polluted with a lot of this plastic. They've been dumped. And the worst part of it is there's no recycling. And you go to other countries, you see they're making huge amount of money out of recycling. Other countries, they have banned plastic, but others are recycling. So how can Sierra Leone use that as a model or sample in terms of getting something? I can take the both of you. You can just give your...
I mean, one of the things that this project will look at is how to have innovation, incubation hubs. I know most of the problems are localized, and we feel the problem, and if we feel the problem, it is best we find the solution. Because whenever we import solutions, they're not like fully localized and adapted. People don't find it useful after. So this project will offer an opportunity where people probably will come up with innovative idea, whether they can use the plastic for tiles, for something else, because plastics, they are menace. But they are also very, very important. They serve a very, very important function. So this will offer opportunity. So whether you have a startup, whether you are far along in your business plan, how we can work with you to ensure that you address localized problems within vulnerable communities. That's the niche of this thing that we're looking at. Local communities, vulnerable communities that actually feel the pain, and how they can work together to address these things. So we have an innovation incubation hub that we can work, and then let's see how best we can address it and have the people come together collectively to address the problem.
Okay, so over to you, Mr. Mhlanga, that we're bringing it now in Sierra Leone. What should be expected? What is the model of rolling out this program in Sierra Leone?
Thanks a lot. The project, in more detail, it has 4 main components.
Okay.
It is going to look at innovations in the water, in the energy and agribusiness or agriculture sector. Why is this? Because these are the sectors that are highly vulnerable to climate change. There is role for policy to create the space or the demand for SMEs to innovate around climate adaptation. So we are going to be working with policymakers, regulators and institutions that are in these 3 sectors, with the view to say, as we do our agricultural development planning, how do we create space for adaptation SMEs or SMEs and innovators to provide technologies, products and services that will help our communities to adapt to climate change. As a very simple example, the rainy season here in Sierra Leone has changed due to climate change, right? If we are now doing agricultural planning, can we include the role of people who sell solar water pumping systems as people will help us to respond to this menace of climate change? So that's the first component. And also we are going to set up a platform where all the service providers, all the SMEs that are involved in climate technologies can showcase their products, but also can raise awareness on the need for these technologies. Then the second component is focused on the SMEs themselves. We need to rapidly transform as many SMEs or as many ideas on climate adaptation into fast-growing, scalable and investable companies. So we are going to be working with incubators to support these companies for them to scale up their businesses. We also have a climate adaptation venture fund, which is associated with the business development support to ensure that we are able to do this high-risk investment into these companies and also help them to on their journey to scaling up their businesses. Because as and when they are scaling up their businesses, they are providing more and more technologies to as many beneficiaries up country. And the third component is on the whole issue of financing. We have a lot of people investing in houses in Sierra Leone. We have a lot of people investing in so many things. We need the financing sector to start considering climate resilience and climate adaptation as a business opportunity. And how do we do this? We are going to be working with microfinance institutions. We are going to be working with financial service providers, banks and the like, for them to start considering the effect of climate change on their operations. If a bank is giving a loan to a farmer, they should consider the extent to which climate change can affect the operations of this farmer. But ultimately, in that component, we are also going to be working with for communities on how they can access funding at appropriate terms for them to be able to buy and secure these technologies. So it is, on one end, we are pushing for the supply of these adaptation technology products and services through helping as many SMEs to commercialize and to scale up their operations. But we are also creating the demand for these services through the third component. So all in all, we see these three key components as creating this transformational change where we have the supply for technologies, we have people who are able to buy and secure these technologies, but also people who are in the financing sector being able to provide credit and financing for both the suppliers and the buyers, and also all this being catalyzed by the policy and regulatory framework under which we are able to create space and provisions for SMEs to be recognized as potential providers of solutions around climate resilience and climate adaptation. So all in all, that's how the project is going to work.
All right, definitely. It should be a long-term project. I am sure we would get more details. But if you're just joining this conversation, you're listening to the Drive Time Show on Capital Radio, and we're talking about the promotion of climate adaptation technology and business model innovations and entrepreneurship. In the studio with me, I have the Chief Climate Tech and Innovations Division, Department of Energy, who is with UNIDO at the headquarters in Geneva, and that is Vienna, okay, and that is Alois Mhlanga. And struggling to get the name right, but he told me I'm okay, so I'm actually there, definitely. And we have Mariatu Swarray, who is the head of UNIDO in Sierra Leone. Continue to stay with us. We're going for a short commercial break. When we come back, you tell us more about the target groups. You spoke about vulnerable communities, but how is it going to be like rolled out in these different communities and the people that would benefit? And maybe what about pitching, if they want to pitch out their ideas? We'll get to know more about that after the commercial break. Stay tuned. I'm Eric Kawa.
Capital Radio, more music.
And right, Capital Radio 104.9, 102.3 and 103.3 Drive Time Show here. We're broadcasting from our office here at the Radisson Blue Complex. 23 minutes past 5. Eric Kawa here for you. And we're having a special conversation with a team from UNIDO talking about the promotion of climate adaptation technology and business model innovation and entrepreneurship. Now bringing you the weather forecast at this hour. Now for this late afternoon, we're starting over in Freetown here. Partly cloudy skies with 60% chance of moderate rain and scattered thunderstorms. Temperatures around 27 degrees Celsius, dew point around 23 degrees Celsius. Humidity is at 79%. If you're in Bow, chance of rain also 60%. Temperatures around 28 degrees Celsius, dew point around 23 degrees Celsius. Humidity is at 74. In Kanneh, the humidity is also at 74. Chance of rain at 60%. Temperatures are around 28 degrees Celsius. And finally, in the northern part of the country, let's take a look at Makeni and its surroundings. Partly cloudy with also 60% chance of rain. That's throughout the regions for now. Temperatures around 29 degrees Celsius. Dew point around 23 degrees Celsius. Humidity is at 70%. And that's the weather here on the Hot FM Capital Radio, brought to you by.
For fast and secure money transfers to Sierra Leone, choose the Pay on Lime app. Send money to AfriMoney and Orange Money at the best rates from anywhere around the world. Simply download the Pay on Lime app for free from Google Play or the Apple App Store, and you're good to pay on Lime.
This is Eric on
104.9, 102.3, continuing with the conversation, and still with me in the studio, I have the chief Climate Tech and Innovations Divisions Department of Energy, that is Alois Mhlanga, who is with us in the studio. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Eric.
And also I have with me, yes, and you want to call your name so that they get it right. We might have South African friends who are listening. They will say, Eric, you're not pronouncing this so well. So just say it to be on the safer side.
Thank you, Eric. You are doing it well enough. My name is Alois Mhlanga.
Great. Thank you. So my friend in Zimbabwe, her name is Shumi. She will say, Eric, you've done justice to the name. And of course, we have Mariatu Swarray, who is the head of UNIDO here in Sierra Leone. Glad to have you again.
Thank you. We're delighted to be here.
Okay, great. So we're continuing with these great initiatives, and this is a long-time project that's lasting for about 5 years. And we're now talking about pitching process. Someone who's listening right now, they want to know how can they go about, pitching their ideas. They are fantastic ones, but how do they do this? So over to you, Madam Mariatu.
Well, once we start proper implementation, we'll have a lot of communication around this one. So we'll have trade fairs, we'll have people going to the communities, because don't forget that this intervention is for vulnerable communities and solutions that will address climate change problems within local communities. So we want the people to know, because it is when they are aware that there are opportunities like this and how they can know about it and how they can pitch in their ideas. That's what we want. So we'll have a lot of fairs going to meet the community, a host of radio talk shows, TV programs, just like what we're having now. Okay. So people would know. So that because we cater for a different set of people and based on their vulnerabilities in the water, energy and agribusiness sector. So we'll be meeting people, and we hope that this is not the last of our visit to Capital Radio.
Definitely. We're looking forward to receiving you at all the time and getting all the information. So as I was talking, during the commercial break, we were discussing about a lot of young talents in Sierra Leone with ideas, but then maybe the support is not there. Because I remember some few years ago, I did an interview with a young guy who made a solar-powered car. He made this one, and for actually the SDGs, looking at, gas emissions and polluting the environment, that is a good start. But the point is there's no way to support. So how do UNIDO and other United Nations specialized agencies that are towards this particular climate change, which is now a serious one, with COP27 just around the corner, how would this one serve as a way for them to be able to create better things and give them the platform to have more of this solar? If we have more solar powered car, let's see how the environment goes and how protected it is. Yes, Mr. Mhlanga.
I think Alois is best as the chief innovation officer is best poised to answer this question.
Okay.
But we'll be working on adaptation, and not on climate mitigation. But then, of course, we would try to see how best we can help them, because don't forget the engineers at Swarray College, they have a host of brilliant ideas.
Sure.
How best we can work with them to actualize those ideas. But then Alois is the chief. He knows more on the technologies that we'll be looking out for.
Okay. So, Mr. Alois, yes, you can throw light on that.
Thank you so much, Eric. Just to give context of this, this project is funded by the Global Environment Facility.
Okay.
And as UNIDO, in line with our mandate of accelerating inclusive and sustainable industrial development, we see the role of the private sector in protecting the environment.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of interacting with a lot of young talent from Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I remember the guy you
Yes,
mentioned.
Emmanuel Ali
yes.
Swarray, something like that.
There's
Yeah.
also another colleague who, entrepreneur who, who reached out to me. He has started a vertical farm, which is hydroponics and aquaponics and all these things.
Okay.
This talks to a lot of talent in Sierra Leone. And this project is about how to transform that talent into businesses. So we will be implementing this project as UNIDO with the support of the Environmental Protection Authority, represented by Sheku here, but the executing party will be SMEDA.
Okay.
They will be interacting much more with the entrepreneurs. These entrepreneurs who have innovations that helps communities to adapt. We need these innovations to be transformed into a business. A lot of innovations die from just an idea until you have a product.
Yeah.
So we have the infrastructure under this project to transform those innovations into a product. First of all, secondly, to have a market. What is your first go-to market? Do you have a product, and does the market interact with that product? And ultimately, it's about investment.
Okay.
So there will be calls for these innovations through SMEDA under different at a different growth level on how we can support these entrepreneurs and innovators with technologies and products that helps to promote climate adaptation and resilience. And this project will be working with those entrepreneurs to help them to transform those innovations into businesses.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's about finance. So through the Climate Adaptation Venture Fund, we'll be providing financial resources to these companies to go and test their products,
Okay.
to go to the market, but also to do the initial high-risk investments into these companies with the view to unlock follow-on investors, but also attract investors, investment from other sources, so that they can scale and grow up their businesses and provide much more technologies to the communities, the beneficiaries.
Okay.
So this project sets up the institutional infrastructure so that there is continuous support all the way from somebody discovering something at Fora Bay University
Yeah.
until they are able to employ people, they are able to mobilize resources and deploy as many technologies in the provinces.
Okay.
And this project is set up particularly with the view to how to unlock this creativity that we have in Sierra Leone, and how to harness this creativity and ingenuity towards helping communities to adapt to climate change, but at the same time creating local jobs and employing the youth in doing so.
Okay, so what qualifies a company to be able to be in a position to apply? Do they need to go through the process of registering the business, or what exactly, or can just have an idea even without registering? I can just come up with my pitch and all.
Thank you, Eric. That is a very important question.
Yeah.
The richest people on this earth, the billionaires, they started with zero.
Yeah.
Right? So we recognize that we are in the business of transforming ideas into companies, into enterprises. So you don't need to have any form of qualification as long as you have an idea that you think helps to Sierra Leone community to adapt to climate change.
Okay.
You are more than welcome. There's going to be a window for startups.
Yeah.
There's going to be window for, and no startup is registered. I mean, according to the last time I checked.
Yeah.
Startup, you have an idea, you are
Yeah.
very energetic about this idea.
Yeah.
You don't even have perhaps even
Anywhere to start.
Leones in your pocket.
Yeah,
but you have
sure.
an idea.
Sure.
You're welcome to be part of this journey. There'll be companies that have a product in the market. They want to scale up their operations. There will be a window under which they are going to be supported on how to grow their businesses, how to link them with financing at better terms. There will be people who have projects they want to scale up. So we'll be providing investment facilitation services and making sure that they reach financial closure by linking them with financing at a local level, but also at a global level, that to ensure that their projects are scaled up. So it is series of windows that ensure that even those who don't have, just have an idea, come to this project. We are there to help you to transform your idea into an enterprise. And thereby we are creating new industries, green industry, and creating local jobs in Sierra Leone.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Continue to stay with us. And we've been joined now by the director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Sierra Leone, Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes. So, for those who don't know you, can you please introduce yourself? Your title is very popular. Your agency is very popular, actually. So, tell us more about yourself.
I am Sheku. Kanneh. I work for the Environment Protection Agency.
Okay.
Currently, the director of the agency.
Okay.
And also the national operational focal point for the Global Environment Facility.
Okay. And the Global Environment Facility is the one supporting with the funds, I
Providing
suppose.
support, yeah.
Okay, great. So when it comes to the environment, APA plays a very significant role with the past years. I mean, having certain laws in terms of seeing that the environment is protected and the rest of it. So tell us more about how this whole promotion and climate, thing is actually related to your agency, being that you've been working towards this for a long time.
Climate is environment. That's the simple definition.
Mm-hmm.
So, climate, the environment include you sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
the animals we have, the air that we breathe, the water, and the climate that we see.
Okay.
So, change in every form, in any form of the environment, we affect we who are survivors or dependents of the environment, and greatly we humans. So the link between this project that we're talking about and that of the Environment Protection Agency is that one, in the first place, the Environment Protection Agency has a statutory obligation or responsibility to actually protect and manage the environment of Sierra Leone, and in its protection ensure that there is safety and well-being of all Sierra Leoneans. And stemming from that, climate change being a greater component of the environment, and we understanding that climate impact is visible in Sierra Leone. I mean, we've seen, yes, natural occurrences, natural change within the weather system and climate system, but over the years, I mean, in the last 10-15 years, we've seen a rapid and spontaneous change in most of the climate parameters, including the windstorm, the way how we get rains, even the amount of heat that we get in the atmosphere, the period of dry spell, and its impact, including the flooding, landslide, drought affecting agricultural activities and all the like. And these are all factors that play within the environment, and therefore they are critical. So our quest for protecting the environment is actually to ensure that all those factors play very well, and then there is a sustained livelihood for the people that live within the environment. And therefore, stemming from that, the Global Environment Facility is an environment-related fund established at the eve of the Rio Art Summit. And this was done to actually help support.
Please try again.
This was done to actually help support least developed countries to actually be able to either adapt to or help mitigate the impact of climate.
Okay.
So, as a country, we know we're suffering, or we are being one of the least developed countries affected by immense climate impact. And in several research, we've been rated as one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to the impact of climate change. Probably not because of the level of occurrences, but our capacity to cope with whatever adverse impact or effect that we get. And therefore, one of the things that we want to do, and we have committed ourselves as a country in key documents like the nationally determined contribution, the national adaptation plan, which we have the initial, the different national communications that we've had, the national climate change strategy and action plan, and the national climate change policy, is to ensure that we build resilience of our country to be able to adapt to the impact of climate change as number one. Then we talk about how we enhance our mitigation capacity through carbon enhancement or sinking the carbon